Hi, I'm Jocelyn Mccauley, and you're watching IronmanHacks.
Good. Okay, he's starting. So we'll clap.
Hey everybody, Andrew here from IronmanHacks, and I'm with Jocelyn Mccauley, pro triathlete. And what would your intro be, Jocelyn? How would you introduce yourself?
Mom, wife, pro triathlete, living the dream. I don't know.
Can you give us sort of a story or a background of how you got started from college up till now and kind of how you grew into triathlon and professional sports?
Yeah, I loved running. And so I went to Brigham Young University, BYU, out in Utah for cross country track and field. They were really good cross country track and field. There still are. They're, in the country. And so went there and absolutely loved it. And then I actually did a graduate degree at UC and did my final year of eligibility there because I redshirted my sophomore year. And so, yeah, ended up getting injured at University of Cincinnati out in Ohio. And it was just a lot of really frustrating injuries out there after not really having any problems. And so then my sister started these crazy things called Ironman, and I thought they were insane. And you do what? Like you're going all day. It's just an all day race. That sounds miserable. Like, why would you ever want to do that? But I went to her races and I ran post collegiately after I ended up getting a hip labral repair and sports hernia repair on my left side from those injuries, and went to all of her races and Sherpa supported her races and absolutely fell in love with the atmosphere. Like, I mean, we've all been at the races at the beginning and how electrifying and just like addicting that atmosphere really is. And then the finish line where you just have that, you get to like have the joy of the sense of accomplishment with the other athletes. Like, I don't know, I just like love all the feels. And so I was loving going to her races, and I was like, I just have to be part of this. So I'll just do one and be done. Like, I just want to be part of it once. And did one 70.3 and was like, well, you don't get special needs bags, or I guess they're called personal needs bags now. And so I needed the full experience. And so I did a full in Ironman Texas 2014 and ended up winning and qualifying for Kona. And so we were like making that decision the night after, like trying to decide because you have to accept it the next day. I ended up going to Kona. My husband, in his wisdom, though, that night as we're discussing, he's like, Jocelyn, this is not a question of whether or not we're gonna do Kona or not. This is a question of if triathlon is going to be part of our life for the foreseeable future or not, because you're going to be good at Kona and then you're going to want to keep doing it from there. And so it's not a question of Kona or not. It's a question of, is this our life or not? And ended up doing Kona and was the first amateur there. And so went pro after that. It was a very, very quick rise.
So basically your sister's the culprit. She's the one that brought you in. But then
Yeah.
your husband had the foresight to recognize that you were going to do well enough and that if you did so well, this may become a career. Is that how he, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
how would somebody who's so new into the sport really, I mean, I'm wondering how would he have even been able to foresee that? Did he know, like, okay, I mean, she is that good as an age grouper. It's something good's going to happen. Is that? I mean, Texas is not a small race to be winning either.
No, it's not. Nor is Kona. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah, exactly.
yeah, he just knows me, and he knows my determination and mind strength and everything, and so he just really knows me.
So were you working at the time?
I was working as a cardiac ICU nurse.
I see. So
Yeah.
when did you leave that?
I after Kona, I ended up going what's called PRN, so just like as needed. Basically, I worked once a week after Kona, And then a few months later, ended up just stepping away completely. So.
And then you knew as a pro, you had a whole new world of opportunities and future opening up to you. Did you quickly connect with sponsors and other ways of getting the new career moving?
Quickly is probably not the word I would use, but and I mean, I think every pro knows that it's a struggle and there's a lot of rejection and then some success. And so it wasn't quick, but it was um, good enough, I guess.
Excellent. And who are some of them? I mean, I see what you're wearing. Are there any that are noteworthy that you'd like to mention?
I wasn't working with Ventum at the time then, but I love Ventum and I am working with Ventum currently now. And I mean, I think just as your career evolves, so do sponsorship opportunities and changes and whatnot. And so I've had a really good long relationship with Head Wheels as well. I mean, they are literally the fastest wheels out there. They sell their design to other wheel makers out there. So they have the fastest design of wheels and love working with Annie Head, an amazing company, an amazing woman who's I think a forefront. I also work with Win Apparel, who I also love. Who's out in Asia as well. They have a new Singaporean distributor. So Luke and Beth are both ex-pro triathletes who know know the sport, know what you need in apparel, but then also know what we need as professional athletes. Like they go above and beyond support out of any other company that I've ever worked with. So yeah, Precision Hydration, love
Yep.
their fuel as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask about precision hydration. I'm starting to get into some of their new products like the carbs and the chews and stuff like that, and
Oh,
some
the shoes
pretty
are so addicting.
yeah pretty high sodium for these conditions out here in Asia. But
Oh
speaking
yeah.
of tough conditions, you just came off of a few races, I think. I mean, I saw you here in Singapore, and then you just recently finished Texas as well, or competed in Texas. Maybe, I
Yeah.
mean, it seems like your attitude is quite, I'd say, more positive than I would be. I mean, I don't know. Maybe can you tell us how it went and how you feel?
Yeah. So I did New Zealand in March. I've done that race since I was started this whole sport as a professional and love that race, love the country. But ever since that race, like I've just had my training's been really up and down for whatever reason. Health wise, I just saw a doctor this week to try to getting some tests run finally and just figuring out the bottom of it. So, I would have 2 to 3 days of really good training and then 2 to 3 days of like I couldn't even run. Like I had absolutely zero energy. And that was going into Singapore. And then I felt like it kind of was able to change a bit from the 2 weeks of Singapore to Texas. I only had one really bad day in that. And so I was a little bit more positive going into, well, a lot more positive going into Texas. But I guess, Texas was just not a great day. The swim it wasn't horrible. It just wasn't like great. And then the bike, my power was like 15% lower than what it was last year on the bike. But, I just was like, well, I'm not really that far behind. I don't know. I got off and I was like in third into T2. So what the heck? Let's just keep going. And just I never got a rhythm on the run. And then my whole right side, like just totally locked up. And I was not running. I was jogging and I was just causing a lot more issues down my kinetic chain than it was worth at that point. And this is a career, this is a profession for me. This
Yeah.
isn't just like let's go complete an Ironman. And so it is a different decision than I would make if I was doing this as an age grouper. And so yeah, I ended up pulling out. It was like mile 13, 14, somewhere around there. I don't even remember what it was, but 14 as a run and just like literally laid there in the grass for quite a while and cried quite a lot. And that was my little pity party that I got to have. And then after that, I got up and it's a 3 loop bike run course. And was on my second loop. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to wait for for the women to come by so I can cheer for them. So I ended up cheering the top 10 women there on the side of the road. And um, then went to get food, went home, played in the pool. And then the people who I stay with actually run an aid station, number 7, there on the run course. And they've become family to me, honestly. And so I have always I've always volunteered at Ironman Texas every single year. It's just kind of been a tradition. Either before or after the race, I've done like bag stuffing, I've done bike pickup, like just random things because it's so fun. I love the community. I really love the community of triathlon. And so I love being immersed into it. So I think it was around like 8 or 9, we went out and went to their run aid station and handing out chicken broth and Gatorade and water. And there were a couple of people who were like, Jocelyn, wait, what are you doing? So it was fun and just encouraging, just cheering people on. And that really helped change my mindset, I think. Like I could just go home and have a pity party and cry
Yeah.
more, or I can go out there and I can serve and be immersed in the community that I love and give back. And
Yeah.
that I can change your attitude way more than being so self-absorbed
Yeah.
and like, woe is me. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think the best thing is to turn outward, right?
I mean, that's a lesson, and I think we can all take away something from that. And I mean, I saw what people were posting on your Instagram about that, like,
Yeah.
hey, you're out here cheering, and I mean, it was so commendable and admirable, and this is something we should teach our kids. So it's
Yeah, yeah. It was funny because like I didn't know that I was on the broadcast. Like just I just do my things. And I was like, when I think Dee Dee was the first person who posted that, and I was like, oh my gosh, not again. Because there's plenty of other clips out there of me cheering people, and I just like I don't need this again. Like it's almost embarrassing, but not I don't know. I'm more embarrassed by it than proud of it, but it's what I love and it's what I would want, if someone else. And so why not do it? And I realized I ran in high school, obviously, and then ran in college. And after every single cross country race or track race, like I would always go back and I would cheer on, my teammates really, usually not my competitors, but at that point it was my teammates, like coming across the finish line because like we're a team. And I loved the encouragement and whatnot. And I mean, anyone who's ever worked out with me knows that that is how I present myself in training, even like, like cheering, not, I don't want to call it cheering because it's not really cheering people on in training. It's more, I say out loud what I'm telling myself in my head, and it comes out as a cheer, but not cheer like, yay, 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 but like different positive motivations of like, okay, let's stay positive here, or let's focus on our stroke, long streamline, core engaged, just lots of different things like that. Okay, just one more, just let's focus on one more. Just, yeah, little mental cues that I give myself and I just say them out loud.
speaking of like slight setbacks, you had some surgeries, was it last year? And
Yeah.
those were not exactly encouraging for you. And I read a bit about it, and your doctor didn't think you could. I mean, maybe I'll let you tell the story.
Yeah. Yeah. I had after that problem at University of Cincinnati and that, handful of surgeries that I had on my left hip, I have had I don't know, what was it? 9 years of no injuries at all, like just completely, totally fine. And then had my second child, COVID baby. And ever since her, like, I just have struggled with different things. And ended up finding out that I'm 99% sure that when I gave birth to her, that I actually tore my labrum on my right side and also got a hernia giving birth to her. So actually not as uncommon as you would think for women to have that issue, which it's not really talked about women's health is not talked about, and that's a whole nother stick. But anyway, so was still running through that, offset my gait, caused a lot of issues, and finally, got down to the root of it at the end of 2022, and saw a lot of horrible orthopedics and saw one really amazing one. And so, yeah, like it was a massive journey of a series of events, which I YouTube videoed stuff and see all the emotions of horribleness. But um, anyway, so finally I got this awesome orthopedic care. He did a hip labral repair on my right side, and then I had a general surgeon do the hernia repair, and got him done. I think they were 10 days apart. And yeah, the orthopedic said after he did before he did it, I asked him, I said, so do you think that I could do an Ironman in like April? And this is like end of December. I think I got that one December 30th. And then I got the other one like Jan 9 or something. And do you think I could? He's like, there's no way. He's like, structurally, like, and from surgery wise, in my perspective, you would be okay doing it. You're not going to cause damage. But muscularly and fitness wise, there's no way that you would be able to ever finish a marathon, nevertheless, like a marathon at the end of an Ironman race. And I just said, watch me. So yeah, I love proving people wrong in that kind of thing. It's my forte. So, and my husband was actually there in that appointment, and he just like put his hands in his head. He's like, what are you telling her? Why?
Incredible story. And then from then on, you went to New Zealand and then Singapore, and would you say you're 100% now?
Working on it. I mean, Texas kind of showed me I'm not quite there at
Yeah.
100% yet. Yeah, like I just got back from strength training. I have seen so much value in strength training the last few years. It's a very important, vital aspect of the sport that I don't think we put enough time into. Like, um, I'll take out a run or shorten a run or shorten a bike to be able to get my strength training in. It will never be pushed off or it cut short or anything. I put that as my number one priority in my training.
So that's the foundation and the core to staying strong, I guess. Okay, so what do you have in the calendar for you for the rest of the year? T100, I presume, which is not a small commitment.
Well, I will only do T100 for if I get wild cards, like San Francisco, Las Vegas. Those I'll do if I get the invite. But then my next race will be Boulder 70.3. I don't race or train on Sundays, and so because of that, like I travel a lot more than most people for my races. So I'll do Boulder, and then the next one after that, that's actually a non-Sunday race. The only next one after that is in August in Kalmar, Sweden. So
Right. Well, you can
yeah.
come out to the Middle East, and of course, you've got Malaysia. So, we've got a few of those.
Oh, Malaysia though. Malaysia and I have a bad history.
Actually,
Oh,
I remember seeing your bike at the rack. I think it was 2019, was it? I
oh,
remember
that was the worst year.
I remember I thought, yeah, maybe something went wrong.
Yeah. So I went there 2019, and I ended up DNFing Kona right before that. I think it was like 2 weeks before that. The races were a little closer together that year. And DNFing Kona, and then I ended up at the very end of all of this, I found out that I had got a parasite, probably from Kona, from before Kona while I was swimming in the water. Like there was a lot of rain and there was a lot of runoff, and there was
Yes,
actually a water quality
yes,
notification. And
yes.
so ended up with a parasite there, didn't realize it caused issues in the race in Kona. And then it was still like thought that I could still do stuff. And so I went to Malaysia by myself, and um yeah, it was I was leading the race, I think over 20 minutes, 25 minutes or something like that, on the run, the last 10K ish of the run, and ended up like I was like, I am going down. Like I just knew. I felt myself like and there was an aid station, I don't know, 100 meters up the road. Ended up passing out. Well, I went down on the ground, ended up crawling, still have scars on my knees. Had an
Wow.
age grouper come by, like put my arm around his shoulder, and he got me to the aid station. I still don't know who it was. Jumped in the ice bucket, like at the aid station, like tried to get stuff down, projectile vomited, stayed in that ice bucket, and yeah, ended up, they pulled me, put me in an ambulance, took me to the med tent. They opened the doors. I was in and out of consciousness this whole time. Opened the doors and they said, take her to the hospital right now. Didn't even take me out of the ambulance, took me to the hospital. And the only thing I remember for the next 12 hours was getting a sternal rub. As a nurse, you know that this is like a pain stimulus to try to wake someone up from, make them more conscious. And I woke up a little bit, had this woman in my face saying, "Hey, Jocelyn, can you stay with us? Like, do you know where you are? Do what happened?" And I could not talk. I literally could not form words, and I had no idea the answers to their questions. And it's amazing that I actually still even remember that conversation out of everything. Passed back out. I was like, the darkness is so much better than anything else. So, um, yeah, and then woke up about 12 hours later, and my poor husband on this side of the world had gotten a call from Ironman saying, "Hey, your wife is going to the hospital," and then didn't hear something for hours after. So he's just like, "What is happening? Is my wife okay?" and everything. But the team took care of me so well there. They grabbed all my stuff, took it to my room, and everything. So even though I didn't have any any friends or family there, I was well taken care of. But me and Malaysia have a bad history. I don't know if I'll do that race again.
Wow. Wow. I didn't know that story. I can't
Yeah.
remember exactly what it was, but I do remember seeing your bike. I think it was when I was getting my bike out, like yours was still there, and I knew something had happened, but I didn't ever hear
Yeah.
this. And
Yeah. And that was the third time I've done Malaysia and the third time that I DNF'd Malaysia.
oh my gosh. Yeah, it's
Me and he are
it's
not friends. So,
it's brutal. It's a brutal, I mean, and that run is just soulless with that runway there. It just kills you.
oh yeah. Oh, there's like no shade either.
Yeah,
Like it's just like on this asphalt
that's right.
road of, yeah. But you training in Singapore, it actually
Yeah,
not as bad.
not as bad. On that year, I got hit by a jellyfish the night before, um,
Whoa.
a bad one, and it put me in I had to go to the hospital also. Probably we were in the
Wow.
same hospital.
I think there's only one hospital there, and I don't recommend it.
I
But
don't either.
as a nurse, like I was just like, get me out of here, please, right now. Like, yeah, there's way too many things that are probably TMI to say about that hospital. But I did have to sign myself out, like
Uh-huh.
against medical advice, AMA, because they wanted to keep me another night. And I was like, get me home to a first world country with my doctors, please.
Yeah.
So, and I did.
Wow.
I ended up going to some specialists here. I had concussion like symptoms because I ended up with brain swelling from getting hyponatremia and heat stroke, and yeah, ended up just having to, yeah, a lot. It was a big build back after that. So
Well, Jocelyn, a harrowing story. Anyway,
yeah.
um, I think that pretty much wraps it up. And I think it was great seeing you. When was that, last month? And yeah,
Yeah.
totally um, going to be following you and your next races and so forth. And thanks so much. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.